it took me some time to get to the place that you wanted me to be. I know it was never you. I just needed to work on me. But now I'm ready. I'm ready to love.
Righty. We are talking to you guys about Ready to Love. We're dealing with Make a Move, and I said we still ain't moving to Nola. Let's not lie. Nobody is moving to New Orleans, okay? Nobody, okay? Not even Tamika, the host name, I've even messed up her name, is moving to New Orleans. Ain't nobody going there, okay? All right? But this episode, honestly, has been quite interesting, because obviously I feel like we're doing repetition once more again. We had some conversation with Cerise and Maurice, and Cerise in the end was saying, like, she can see herself dating Maurice, but the problem is the distance again once more. This is why the premise of the show for me doesn't make sense, but anyway. Then we obviously have Venetia. Venetia's got worries about Tabari. I mean, like we didn't know that already. Okay. And then Ashley and Don, well, I think we all knew, that were never going to be the case. I know she wants to drag out the fact the friend, was doing the most and Don didn't protect her, and I hear it. Don probably should have done a better job in terms of regulating his friend, but I also felt like, you needed to hear that ish. Yeah, you did. Okay. And then obviously we had Cam and Zadia, and I just felt like, again, once more, I feel like Zadia, I almost want to say Zadia is pretending, because clearly, surely she can hear what Cam is saying. I mean, at this point, we have to be honest. Zadia is hearing whatever she wants to hear. Okay, all right. Cam can breathe, and she's gonna be like, "Oh, you breathe. You really want me?" He can literally walk past her, and she would read it as something else at this point in time. So we're going to have some real conversation. So let's get deeper into this, because I think there's some real stuff to talk about as well. But I'm going to do it with my brother Sean here. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate y'all. Stay locked and still. It's a late night review because obviously Christmas period and being in Ghana, it was a bit of a mayhem. So a bit of a late one again. But we're going to get into the show. Sean, talk to me, bro. What is your thoughts on this episode, man?
So first of all, I love the song. PJ Morton did his thing, and I love that you dropped that right in the beginning, because that's smooth. I like that. We got to keep that going. But yeah, this episode, your title says it all. Ain't nobody moving. Nobody's moving to Nola, and ain't nobody moving from their points. And I think that's the problem, is we have people that are too immovable, and that's pretty much how I see it. I still love me some Charisse. I'm not saying she's perfect, and we'll dive into some of the areas where there's opportunities for her. But I see her as making progress and looking to evolve in the dating process. And she's doing that, and her and Marie seem to be settling in nicely. So, we got to have somebody to root for, and at the very least, I feel like we can comfortably root for them. Vern, we know she just don't like him. She don't like him. She gonna nitpick. And when you start, you know what I'm saying? You can tell Vern got the ick with Tabari, because every little thing he do, she's watching it, and it's like when you got to be at that tenuous point with somebody where you're walking on eggshells, where she's like, "Oh, you don't call me enough," and I'm just sitting here. It's like, man, this is so early on in the process. This man is working. You're on vacation. You have to expect that this is where you're going to have to bend a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have to bend a little bit if you really do want him to work, if you want the relationship to work. But if you don't, then you're just going to find things like, because you could easily say, "Oh, he just wasn't communicating with me. He just don't like me." Meanwhile, the man then rolled out his whole entire family to meet you. His mama, his brother, welcome you into the fold. I'm sorry. So there's that. Ashley still being Ashley. Dawn definitely, we're going to have some smoke for him, because he kind of like, moonwalked out of his accountability part of that scenario. But Ashley still being Ashley, no accountability whatsoever. So she's not moving. She's not moving off her point of feeling like she was the victim in this scenario. And I just don't know what Zadia needs more from Cam. I don't know if she needs smoke signals. I don't know if she needs him to write it in a different language. I don't know if she needs a 4-page letter. I'm not sure what's necessary for her to understand what this guy is trying to communicate to her, but here we are.
Yeah, listen, I can't lie to you. It's one of them ones, the situation. I think, at the end of the day, I think we all know that this situation. I think the show was a good premise. I think there was a good premise to it. I mean, it was a good idea. I think it needed to be tweaked. You know what I mean? I think it was good having 4 ladies and them just dating. I think that works better. But I this make a move situation, it just seems too difficult. I think they should interpret this as Ready to Love, make it 4 people, and go from there. Do you know what I mean? And I think that would be a better move. But this whole moving situation is just kind of crazy. For someone to pack up their bags and move, it takes a lot to do that. I mean, we're moving before we get married. I think we have to really deep that, what we're actually asking people to do. We're actually asking them to move before they get married. Like, that's a lot of commitment to move. So, the premise of the show is a bit of a mad one. But okay, let's get into this though, in terms of just relationship dating and stuff like that. Let's first start off with obviously Charisse and Maurice. They had their conversation, and it seemed like they were really getting closey. They got a good vibe going on. Like I said, Maurice is the only one that can really handle Charisse. He got the energy and the vibe and the balls to do it. What's your thought process to this situation, man?
Well, I've been rooting for them for quite some time. So I think they have they have the ability to make it. Will they? I don't know. But if you look at what she needs and what she wants, he fits a lot of those boxes. And I'm not saying people should settle or anything like that, but at a certain point, you have to look at what's going to be good for you, right? And I think he has those qualities. And I see Charisse softening up even a little bit with him, because when they went on that date, she was crying. You know what I mean? And that's a level of vulnerability that we haven't necessarily seen, So I think that at the end of the day, they have the ability they can make it, and he was very calming and warming to her, told her, listen, don't be, 10 steps ahead. We can make this work, so.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, long distance is not always the easiest thing to do, but, I like the way he was calm about, reassuring her that, let's take steps before we get there. I think that's a sensible way of doing things. He didn't rush it and try to say, look, we have to think about everything in one whole go, which is cool. But I also understand Charisse's point of view, which is obviously as well, like, there's a lot of things in Miami, like she said, her parents her dad, I think she said her mom and her mom, did she say mom or dad? I can't remember who she said. It's in Miami as well, so it's hard, as well as obviously her business as well, which is a lot. There's a lot of things.
I think she said her mom.
Her mom, okay. So there's a lot of things going on that she would have to pack up and leave before she can make the decision. So that's tough on itself, and that makes the decision much more harder. But I did love the fact that he was calm about it and reassured her as well. It's a good sign, that there's some good thoughts and good behaviors on his side of things as well.
Yeah, and I think that that's so important, because that's we've seen those walls with Charisse, and I think even when she interviewed on your channel, she just talked a little bit about her background, and she talks about it again here, about being hurt, being disappointed, being let down in the past, and not feeling fully supported. And he didn't run away. He didn't run away from it. So I think that I'm glad she revisited him and gave him a shot, because I think it just speaks to, sometimes you just kind of looking for somebody to just be all in and talk. But it's important to have a little bit of measure, and to be measured in the way that your approach, and to watch and wait before you just jump in and start doing all this talking and selling himself. And I do like that aspect of Maurice, is that, hey, he's like, hey, listen, I got it, we'll figure this thing out together and we'll make it work. He seems to be, he seems to like her. And again, I don't think that You know, and I think sometimes when we advocate for somebody or we like somebody, they're like, oh, but he's this, and this. I get it. He could be some of those things too, but we're on a reality dating show, you know, and we're looking for somebody that meets more of the pluses versus the negatives. So I think from what we've seen up to this point, you know, he's been a good solid foundation and a landing place for her. He's been steady. He hasn't been inconsistent, and I think that's the kind of person that's going to help, you know, Charisse and balance her out, not get too worked up when she gets worked up, you know, because I think you need that yin and yang in a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, I do think they balance each other out. You know, in that sense. And I think obviously sometimes, well, like, you know, no one's perfect, right? So I think with Charisse, I see more, like you said, we see a more leveled. We see a more leveled Charisse with Maurice, because I think he's just so calm, right? So it kind of almost cancels out her energy almost that she brings to the table, right? Sometimes, and I think I think also with them two, she can have a bit more safety when it comes to the fact that obviously for her, she's always thinking about, you know, the financial aspect, you know what I mean? So that plays a huge role in the way that she tries to seize the safety in terms of relationship. So yeah, I think Maurice is the right kind of guy for her. It's just, you know, it's crazy when you say that sometimes time, season, where you're at can dictate certain things. But if they really bond and work on their foundations, this potentially could be a real relationship for Charisse. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if they really do bond and find strong tenets in terms of foundational pillars, it could be something. You know what I mean? It could. Whether it will be is another situation, but you know, this is probably the closest I've seen for Charisse in terms of someone actually really getting her. Because even Mr. Sampson wasn't this close. So, you know, I think in this relationship there is real potential. It's just the position. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Any last thoughts on Charisse before we shift it?
Yeah, no, I think that the other part of it is that although she hasn't shown that side, that kind of volatile, you know, fiery, angry side of her that comes out, it's a part of her personality. So I saw somebody in the comments said that she's working on that, so that's good. But that kind of behavior does seep into your relationship. So, you know, I just hope that, you know, because that's how sometimes we self-sabotage. When somebody doesn't do what we want them to do, it's how we react. What are our conflict resolution strategies? What happens when somebody does or says something that we don't like? Because it's eventually going to happen. So I think that, and I was talking to a friend of mine about, you know, just relationships in general. And we were talking about two people that we kind of questioned, but it's like you're never going to be able to talk to anybody when they're in the honeymoon phase. When they're in that honeymoon phase and it's euphoria and everything is good because you're getting along, it's very difficult for people to, you know, for you to be rational, because you're seeing if you really like each other and you're connecting, you're seeing the best of the person. But then, like, flip to it, you know, like you flip to it and there's a problem, then how are you two going to resolve that? And I think that's super important, you know, to make sure that we work that out, that we deal with, you know, whatever trauma Charisse has. We can see it. She has some trauma. You know, because of the very, very specific things that she says that she doesn't want. You know, straight out the gate, she was like, she doesn't want any men in the house. You know, we know that comes from a place of, I'm protecting myself because of situations that have happened. So is she fully healed from those? Is she able to not carry those issues into her relationship? And is she at a place, and I think that's the part she's got to continue to do the work on for this particular relationship to work, is what's her conflict resolution? In clearly stating your boundaries, you have to also understand that you're dealing with somebody else. So depending on what your boundary is, you also have to leave room to negotiate that boundary, because if you want a relationship, it's not always going to be your way. You know, it's not always going to be your way. And I'm not saying everything, but certain things you have to be open to have the conversation. And how I've seen Cherie show up is she says, this is my boundary. That's it. Move on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you can't, if you want, again, a relationship, you can't necessarily be that way. If you want to stick to whatever that boundary is, you also need to do a little bit more explaining and give somebody context. You can't just say no. And if you expect someone else to just comply, right? If your boundary is X, listen, I don't like this, I don't do this here, and this is why. And then you may not want to get into the details. You might want to say, I've had some negative experiences, and that has taught me not to do this. As we progress and I get more comfortable with you, then I can share with you more about my journey and why I'm here. But you can't just throw a wall up in a relationship and just expect for somebody to respect it without context.
That's good points. God damn. Okay, Councillor Sean. All right, cool. Let's shift it then. Vern and Toari. Vern and Toari are interesting. Their relationship. I always feel like she's, she likes him, but not enough. That's the problem. She likes him, but never enough. And so it's always as if that the issue she takes with him, it always feels like there's underhandedness underneath it. It's like, I like you, but not enough. So whatever it is, I'm going to always have something of an issue with you in the situation. And I think that's why what I always see with Vern and Toari. And like, I feel like they get somewhere, and then it'll be like, she'll say something, and I'll be like, ugh, it's not. It's like something else comes up. Something small comes up, but it's because I don't think she likes him like that. How did you see Vern and Toari in this occasion, Sean?
Yeah, I feel like he's constantly trying to prove himself to her. And I don't see it being reciprocated. Like, I constantly see her saying, oh, well, I need you to do this. I need you to be more serious. Now I need you to blah, 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 blah. I need you to do X. I need you to do Y. All right. Oh, you did this. Check this box. But now I need you to do that again. And now I need you to be more like this. I need you to be more romantic. I need you to be more serious. I need to know what your religion is. But I'm not going to tell you what mine is. It's like, when you're just dangling a carrot in front of somebody's head and, and you're just chasing them around, and that's just how I see it. Hey, maybe he's having a different experience and this is my interpretation, but that's how I see it. I see it's just like, you just give somebody enough breadcrumbs to just get them, okay, if you do this, then maybe I'll give you that. But I don't see her just naturally warming up to him. And I think that is, that's problematic. I don't see her opening up to him at all. I don't see her sharing herself with him. It's like, what are you going to do for me? That's constantly the conversation. And I just, as much as I feel like, yes, are there things that men need to provide as a foundation, but I'm not going to just be doting you with love, praises, telling you all these things and putting myself out there, and it doesn't seem reciprocated. Like, every time they lean in for a kiss, she's giving him her cheek. You know what I'm saying? Don't give me your cheek at a certain point. I'm not saying we got to be tonguing down each other on the camera either. But, give me a little peck. Let me know, like, there's hope for us. There's a spark somewhere. But, you lean in, we give a hug, and you just push that cheek. So she be pushing that cheek. Yeah, don't push that cheek on me. Between that cheek getting pushed to on him, plus, the smiles with no teeth. I don't know. I'm not buying it.
It's crazy. Yeah, listen, I can't lie to you. It's unfortunate, right? It's like Vern is making do, and it's almost as if she hopes that he will change into what she wants in the end. And again, maybe this is a forced thing by production as well, to have her have somebody at the very end, but it's giving, I'm only keeping you around so I can show that I've got someone, or keeping you around to see that I'm viable. People desire me, people want me. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Again, there's not enough there from their interactions, like you said, body language wise. There's not enough in that interaction to say, oh, these two, they hitting it off. And so for me personally, it's, at this point, she should have stayed with Jabari. At this point, she should have stayed with Jabari. She has some chemistry with Jabari. Now, Jabari wasn't going to pay a bill or two, but, she has some chemistry with Jabari. You know what I mean? Like, he might not have wanted her to go out at night, but Freeze come out at night. So, it would have been better because Tabari it seemed like it started off okay and it's quickly plummeted because I think attraction's a big thing. I think in terms of how he is, being the funny man. But I say that, let's put it this way. Jabari was also making clowny jokes as well. He's making sexual jokes. Listen, it's not it usually comes down to that attraction piece that plays a major role in situations. And the vibe that he brings off too, it's just not one that she connects with. And that is making it very difficult for her to really show her true thoughts and opinions. And that's why there's always a little something going on that's an issue. Go for it.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to understand. Who is the real Vern? That's really what I want to know. And I'm just gonna be serious for a second, because I had some jokes earlier about her interactions with him. But I think really it's an opportunity for her to get to know herself. And sometimes you got to date yourself to figure out who you really are, and that requires space and time from other people and introspection. Because I think some people misconstrue, I haven't dated anybody seriously for a year. I've gotten to know myself. Yeah, but have you done introspection? Have you done self-work? Have you really looked at some of the things that allowed you to get to where you are today? What are some of the decisions that led up to your relationship failures? And I think people that do this work are just in a better place and able to speak to who they are, right? And navigate dating situations better. It's not to say, that's going to make you perfect and you're going to just land and get the right person, but you're able to connect with who you are. And I don't see that from her because in one instance, she's telling Jabari that, she's out all night, right? I like to be out and have a good time. But then fast forward to Tabari, she's saying, I'm in the house with my kids. I've been a homemaker. It's like, which one is it? What is the story that you tell yourself versus what is the story of who you really are? And I think she needs to find that if she really wants to find that person that's a better match. I'm not saying she has to be with Tabari if she don't have to be, if she doesn't want to be, rather. No, but know who you are. And then when you know who you are, you can also set people free. Because I don't think if she really knew who she was and she would say, you know what? I could see a future with Tabari, so let's try to make this work. And then she gives a little as he gives a little, right? But if you don't really know who you are, she's like, I don't really like him, but let me try. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But I know I don't really like him. You play this game, and it's just a dance. And that's what we see her. She's like she's going through the motions. So that's what I see when I see her like navigating this dating process. As self-assured and confident as she is on her exterior, beautiful woman, nice body, right? Behind it, when you peel that layer back, I don't really think she's done a lot of that work to really self-assess her and say, hey, listen, these are some of the mistakes I made in the past. Not, I went chasing behind a guy and I'm never going to do it, so now I'm going to have a roster. No, that's not self-evaluation, right? That's dating strategies. But if you really are doing the work, you're going to say, hey, listen, this is what I have to offer. This is the qualities that I'm looking for in somebody that are going to benefit me long term. So I don't see that from her. I see her, or if she's doing it, it's very surface level. So that's, my little feedback.
Hey, man, I hear you on this one. I don't even have much more to say on the Vern and Tabari situation because there's not much that's going on with them. So I'm going to leave it there unless you have another addition, Sean. But there ain't much to talk about them with them two, these two. So
no, because she ain't moving, and that's going to be that.
Oh, well, she's definitely moving for Tabari. Yeah, that's Tabari, that's for sure. So,
well,
maybe for his mom.
Yeah, right. Well, not even the mama, because wasn't she on Kendra G?
Oh yes, true. Yeah, she was apparently. Yes, isn't that what Serena got cussed out for or something? Because of sorry. Okay. But anyway, It's because her live, she said something like that. Anyway,
Right,
sorry,
right,
my
right.
bad. Yeah, my bad. All right, cool. All right, let's move on. So let's talk obviously about let's talk about Ashley and Don. Um, Shout out to Sabrina, by the way, as well. I understand she was just reporting the news like anybody else. But yeah, no. But Ashley and Don, once more again, it seems to be dragging out this whole situation with a friend. I don't not say dragging out. There's a conversation around how with Ash and Don about protection and him not protecting her, and I do agree to some respect that there wasn't enough protection wise from there wasn't enough protection from Don in regards to Ashley's friend in some regard. Like I get it. He wasn't talking much, and that was for me frustrating. I can't lie to you. He wasn't talking much, right? But I also understand as well that I think the friend was just saying essentially what he wanted to say. So and therefore now they have to have a conversation about the way it's gone down. I think Don really needs to have a conversation and tell her the absolute truth and not pretend like he don't know what he needs to say. And I think that's the biggest issue with them. He pretends as if he doesn't know what he needs to say, but you had your friend do your dirty work. So that, for me, is problematic as well. But, yeah, what's your thoughts on this episode in terms of the two of them?
Yo, I mean, yeah, I just really, let's just go first with Ashley. Um, I've been learning to sandwich better when it comes to, my advice giving. So I think that at the end of the day, Dawn should have taken accountability for the way the friend talked to her. I don't think the message was wrong. I think the way it was delivered was completely wrong. And the friend, if that's the feedback that she had for Ashley, she should have said it better and left out. You don't throw your friend under the bus the way that she did, because she threw her friend under the bus by the way she came out gunslinging at her. Because your friend should be a representation of you, right? So if I see something off, with the person that you're with, and we're in a position to have a conversation, and maybe I'm saying, hey, then I always need to be representing you. I can't be going just gunslinging at the person. So I think that's where the friend let him down, and then where he should have just stepped in when she was doing too much, when it became an argument. He should have just said, whoa, 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 that's not what I want. Let's just calm down. Maybe we table this conversation for now, right? And then I think he could have just at least shown like, hey, I'm not letting madness unfold, because truth be told, Don just let the madness unfold, probably because he's sick and tired of Ashley, just kind of just going off about something. It seems to always be something. And I think when you have that person where it's always something, it becomes draining. So now you have somebody else that sees it, so you feel validated. I think he felt validated in the moment, and he was kind of like, excuse me, silently saying, "Get her." It's like, "Get her. Go ahead, you go off," because I'm tired of hearing all this foolishness. Whereas these are things he should have been addressing with Ashley all along. But again, Ashley has set up the scenario where he's kind of on eggshells, and I think Don does like her. So it's like he wants to win her approval. He wants her to, like him. And then his own issues, because we've heard from him, hey, listen, he's dealt with nothing but toxic relationships, and they keep getting worse. So I don't think he knows what good looks like either for himself. So he's just allowing things to unravel the way that they've done in the past. So he's another person that needs to kind of look at his past and kind of say, what do I want to do differently? How have I contributed to these situations and not just been a victim of toxicity? Because yes, do I think that at the end of the day, sometimes people get hurt emotionally, sometimes unfortunately physically in relationships, but I don't think you just need to stand in that victim space, because then you don't learn, because then you repeat the cycle. And then if you notice, people just constantly, I'm the victim, that can't believe this person did this to me. Oh my God, every single guy there's no good guys out here. It's like, okay. So in a world full of a billion people, you've just every man is bad. you know, or when guys say that every woman is bad, every woman is toxic. No, you need to self-examine and look at yourself. I think Ashley, unfortunately, has bear no accountability in this situation. She painted herself as the victim, you know, talking about the friend and everything she did, but she missed the mark in terms of how insulting she was to Don. At the very least, she could have said, "Hey, listen, I'm really sorry about my comments about your wardrobe. Were you offended? Did that offend you?" Like, where was the let me see my role in all of this, because that's kind of what started the situation. Nope. You know, but again, I think Ashley is chasing that dopamine high of, you know, I want to feel good. Tell me I'm pretty. Tell me you like me. You love my personality. You love everything about me. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Love me, love me, love me. You know, then she wound up getting on the zip line and, you know, cried and moaned and, you know, had a fit about that and then had a blast. You know, so another dopamine chase. She's chasing dopamine again. But we have to get to the real world. If we're talking about real relationships and not just fun, um, we gotta get past all of this stuff and talk to the work and understanding and taking accountability and being mature in a situation and taking a step back. Like when stuff blows up like that, like, you know, and I don't want to, you know, belabor the point, but like there's times when, let's say we've had, and we talked about this, like there's been conflict on the panel or we've had a difference of opinion. We take stock. We take a moment, we breathe. Everybody says, what could I do? You talk to other people, you say, and not just people that are going to be your echo chamber and tell you you're right and tell you, oh, yeah, they did this wrong, but people that are going to like hold you accountable and say, hey, listen, but what's the other side of the story? And what part did you play? And maybe you are being a little bit too critical of the way he dresses. Or maybe it is a little mean that you keep poking fun at him. And how do you think his friends and family felt where you said that in front of them? Right? So I think like all the fun, I love the activities, those things are great. But at the end of the day, when we have massive blowups, especially if we want to have a healthy relationship, we need to really effectively problem solve and have effective methods of conflict resolution. And that's what I see amongst all these dating shows. They don't have effective conflict resolution because they just brush past, or they say, well, I was wrong, you were right, or, you know, and so often it's somewhere in the middle where we find our solutions and a path to, you know, a better outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, look, with Don and Ashley, I think the key thing is, again, once more I'll say it again, she had eyes on Kirsten. And that makes it tough, right? Because Kirsten was the ideal specimen physically. Don was not, right? And we saw already the mistreatment of Don, or the lack of grace given to Don at the very beginning. And who's to say that he had forgiven her due to that moment? And who's to say that she had let go of those feelings that she had towards Don originally when it came to the situation? Now, you know, I think in this episode, again, I get it with Ashley. She wants to make sure that she's the prize. She wants to make sure that she's number one. She wants to make sure that the focus is on her, which I understand because of the past and some of the issues that happened. But with Don, I just feel like, why are we still here? Because you don't like that man like that. Right? You don't like that man like that. You know, you've not given him the chance that he needed to have in order to really be in a relationship, with you. But at the same time, I don't think Don even wants her like that. If I'm honest with you, I don't think Donnie wants her like that. So I'm not even saying she's wrong. I'm saying that this situation doesn't even need to go on any further. And it's being pushed unnecessarily, because when I look at him and I look at her, I don't even see that chemistry. I don't even see it. They hug and they get a little kiss out there, but it never feels real. It never feels like there's electricity flying in those moments. Now, that doesn't mean that people don't grow. It doesn't mean that people don't, expand from there. It doesn't mean that people can't develop. But what I'm seeing from them, I'm not really seeing much of that tactileness that's needed. I'm not seeing much of that physicality. I'm not seeing much of that, fire. I'm not seeing much of them desiring each other. So there's an issue on both ends. But in regards to the force and dealings, I know she tried to say about, it's really interesting that, and I saw live with Azalia talking about how when Donna addressed her volume and someone addressing the argument, I want to say this: you can never use that argument about addressing volume rather than an argument and calling it gaslighting, because when a man starts to pipe up in a conversation, women tend to address, you're shouting right now, you're making your volume right now, right? Because nobody's going to receive any message when the person is in your face, right? Even if you're justified in doing that, it's very hard for people to take what you're saying. And so, I do appreciate the fact that maybe the way he said something in a particular way, she may feel some way because he's addressing the attitude and the volume of what's being said. But I do think that's also important. You know what I mean? I do think that's important. And we know it's important when men are doing it. So we need to also understand as well, when it goes the opposite way too, you yapping and moving mad ain't going to really help me in this conversation. It's not going to help me grow and learn from what you're saying, because I'm feeling at the moment that you're hitting me in a particular way and style. So I felt like that there's two sides to that situation. I understood what she meant, but we do address people's volume, and we do address people's attitude, and we do address people's tone and the way they say certain things. So I also got that as well. But, that's just a particular thought process of mine. Go for it, Sean.
I think you bring up a valid point. And I think we talk about this so often, and it's the hardest thing to do in an argument, when you're having an argument or disagreement with someone. But it's like realizing that they're not really your opponent. And I think like sometimes, especially in relationships, we get so fixed on this idea of being right that we don't leave rooms in a lot of instances to hear from the other person's perspective. And I think Zadia, again, in her efforts of, trying to be a supportive friend, is saying, oh, well, he's addressing he's just addressing her volume. But you really are showing that you're biased, because you're not even trying to hear from his perspective. You're not giving him any wiggle room, because she herself wouldn't like somebody yelling at her. I don't care if she didn't like when Sharice was yelling at her. She didn't like that experience. I'm sure she wouldn't like if somebody was not liking something that she did, if they yelled at her. So I think you have to kind of if you're going to give somebody advice and be a support to them, you can't just be running around telling them they're right all the time, or picking apart the person that they're in a relationship with, because then you're not really helping them. You're just reaffirming everything that they're already saying. Because then how are you adding value? And that's for me, like whenever I hear a story from anybody, like if my friends will talk to me about their relationships, a lot of times I'll flip it and I'll hear like, okay, so what did your wife say? Or what did your girl say? Right. And it's not to say they know I'm supportive of them, but at the end of the day, come on, I know you too. I know you too, and I know you can be extra. Or, like that's what Zadia should be telling her. Okay, I understand he was out of pocket, but maybe you were a little extra. Because I think, as we've said in the past on this channel, a lot of times women can be more, they will give a little bit more wiggle room to other women when they're, kind of giving them feedback, especially if it's their friend. So I think that you should take that opportunity to truly help her, not reinforce her bad behavior / her idea that she's already right, because she already feels right. So I don't think she needs help in that situation. If you want to, hey, listen, I'm sorry you got talked to that way. And I think like that's my whole take on it. It's like, come on. And first of all, I don't like anybody yelling at me. I don't like all of that energy. I don't like, somebody going off on me and saying things, especially when the argument, if we want to begin at the beginning, as they say, the argument started because you were criticizing my style of dress, and you doubled and tripled down on it.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is really as well. Taking it back to the original place and its first moment where it triggered off. If we were to take it back, then, we would have a different conversation. But now we're here and we're addressing this particular aspect. Again, I do feel like, Don also has a part to play in this, like I said, because really and truly, he's not talking and he's not raising his voice, and he's not raising his side of the situation. And that allows for room of disrespect here, you know what I mean? So, I wish Don would have spoken up effectively in these situations and not just left it absent, because that's what's caused this issue right now. The friend wouldn't have come so hard if he hadn't said anything himself. But also at the same time, like you said, it starts before then, because actually, aside of that situation, we got also allowing, pushing for him to change his dress style and everything like that. And it's like, well, you know, at the end of the day, you know, either you want this guy or you don't. You know what I'm saying? You try and change him, it's not going to help nobody. It's not helping you. It's not helping him. Long term, nobody was going to win from the situation. So I look at it and I go, yeah, I think, you know, with Ash and Don, they're going to continue having a lot of these arguments. They're going to continue having a lot of these beefs because really and truly, no one really wants the other person. And so they're going to always have different fights that are going on. But yeah, you know, the girls didn't hold Ashley accountable in terms of the way she behaved. Their brother backed him as well. And I was like, I mean, if you're going to keep on backing her, like you said, she ain't going to change. She ain't going to learn. And to be honest, she already told us already. She ain't trying to learn. She believes that she can do whatever she wants. And that's going to be the biggest issue. She can do whatever you want. If you can do whatever you want, then that's your business. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you believe you can do anything you want, then yeah. Yeah, go for it, bro.
I do think he likes her a bit more than she likes him. You know, just from the way he's showing up for her, you know, even at her birthday party when she was disappointed how things, and she was sliding down the wall because of Kirsten. And, you know, he stepped up and came in and showed up. He's always, I think he's another one similar to Tabari, where he's trying to make her happy. Even in this last situation, he took the L. He just took it on the chest, apologized for everything, and told her, I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to do better. You know, I think they're like, in terms of their engagement chemistry, they're like a step above Vern and Tabari, because she gives him nice, warm hugs. Looks like she kissed him on the lips already. You know, she seems to, again, it's not like she likes him or is attracted to him as much as she is to Kirsten. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to go leap out like that. But I do think she likes him, you know, but her issues, they're not able to get over the issues. And this is the other thing, as you were talking, I was like, oh, shucks. This is exactly it, because she wants to do what she wants to do, and she's still never learning. Because if you remember the first actual disagreement that they had, when she was wrong, by the way, she never acknowledged it, and she's still holding it over his head to this day. When the whole text gate, she accused him of not responding to her, and then when he showed her, hey, listen, I did respond to you, then her thing was, you should have called me. And she still eliminated him. And her memory of the events still puts herself in the victim. And she said that to the friend too. Like, his communication wasn't good. And that's why the friend made the comment. I was sitting right there with him when he texted you. Yes, it did sound odd. It sounded weirdly placed. The way she framed it wasn't the best. But the point was, you're accusing him of something that really didn't happen. And he's already apologized. You've acknowledged it. But you're still holding it over his head. Still no effective conflict resolution. And she still doesn't see, well, hey, I was actually wrong because the man did communicate with me. I didn't respond back, or I didn't check in to see what happened with him. I took it for granted that he wasn't reaching out to me, but really it was him to me. I mean, it was the both of us. But no understanding, no wiggle room. I'm right. And I think, again, this just circles right back around. It's like, what is your goal in a relationship? And I think people really, you know, this is something I talk about it because I had to learn it. And I've learned a lesson probably a little too late. But it's like, when you're having an argument with somebody, if all you're looking to do is prove your point and be right, then you probably, you shouldn't even, it's not even worth the conversation, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at that point what that person feels. It doesn't matter what their thoughts are, because if you're solely focused on being right, then you're going to do everything to be right. And then everything you do after then is going to back into making sure you're right. You're going to pull other examples. You're going to pull other times when they've done things that were wrong. You're going to search for examples across your friends, the internet, of proving yourself right. You'll be on TikTok trying to prove yourself right. And then it's like you've already built in, a bad faith estimate of that person in your interactions. So I think that is, that's an ineffective way of managing a relationship. And too many of us have that approach. And it's like, come on, you got to let that stuff go. But do you want to be right all the time, or do you want to have a healthy relationship?
I want to add any more to that. I think Cap rounded that up beautifully. Cam and Zadia, because their situation, baby. Cam and Zadia's situation is crazy. Absolute craziness. What's your thoughts on Calmness, because I mean, if I tell you once, twice, three times, like it's a political situation because it's like we've been telling over and over again, saying the same thing over and over again, but seeing it's not sinking in. What's your thoughts, Sean?
I'm not sure if he needs to build a roadmap to. This is just not going to be more than what it is. And I know we were talking a little bit behind the scenes, and I just think, like, at the end of the day, Zadia doesn't want to hear what he's saying to her, and she's hoping that he'll be swayed. She's hoping that the more time they spend together, the more things that she does, that he's going to move to her side of the fence, and it's just not going to happen. And he's trying to tell her, and he said it so many different ways. I don't know what he needs. I don't know what she needs to say. I don't know what she needs to hear from him. It's almost like she's like, then don't show up, break up with me. I don't know, bro. I'm at a crossroads with this one.
Bro, I can't even lie to you. I thought there was going to be a lot to say, but I realized there's not much to say because it's like we've said it all in the past few weeks. Like in this, and now, like we have to, at a point now, you have to hold Azadia accountable for staying in the situation, since it's the ladies who got made a choice, right? Staying in the situation, there's no need, because you've not wanted, not that you didn't even want it, but from your perspective that this brother, again, even on this conversation, she said, we didn't have a great conversation. It's like a B. Yeah, because he's telling you again once more, he ain't want your ass. And at this point, you just got to say, okay, great, okay, he doesn't want me. I gotta move on. I gotta go. I gotta leave it alone. I gotta find someone else. And I know it's late in the day, so maybe production's a part of this end situation. But I'm like, before this point, before this point, you were really trying to stay in the cut with him, and it's like now he's telling you, let's remain friends. Da, da, da. And I think she said her truest thoughts. She knows she wants to do better, but her head, or I can't say her head or her heart, whichever one comes first, she feels like she's falling in that space again. And it's like, yeah, that's what gets her, unfortunately, stuck, because she is thinking without the boundaries aspect, but also as well, when she connects, she doesn't know how to disconnect. And that makes it more difficult for her. Once she's in, she's in. It's probably why the Dante situation happened. I was about to choose your ass. Because honestly, once she's chosen, she's chosen. She ain't coming out of it. And once she's in, she's stuck beside him. And it's like, yeah, because that's what we're seeing with Cam and you, because at this point, I know he's showing up, but he's told you he's not got time for you. So yeah, it's not wanting to read between the lines. That's the problem here as well.
100%. And I also believe that it goes back to her not being willing to move. And I'm not talking about being willing to move to New Orleans, because that's a horse of a different color, right? I think it's more so about her not wanting to move off of her point, her not willing to move from her position, and just kind of take herself out of the situation, right? Because I think sometimes we like somebody and we start seeing the future ahead. But you also have to realize that you have to take the input in from what the person is giving you. You know what I mean? Like, and whatever he's giving you doesn't match what your vision has. So now you have to protect yourself. So before you get so fully invested on what you see with them because you like the person and you think that you see all these things, what's the input that they're giving you? The input that Cam has been giving, and look, I know we're observers and able to watch this from a different view, but at the end of the day, she's spending a lot of time with him. When has he ever said, I want a relationship? When has he ever said, I'm looking for something serious? Has he ever told you that? And I think sometimes we take a gamble. And I think she took a gamble. And I don't think, and this is what happens too, because I've seen her in other interviews. And she's like, I'm going to be fine. Yes, we know you will be fine. But how many more of these instances that you have where you don't hold yourself accountable do you have to have? you know, because you are impacting yourself. I don't care what you say. When you take the time, it's clear she cares about him. I'm not going to go as far as to say she's in love with him, right? But she does care about him, and she wants a future, because she keeps moving her boundaries to try to, or moving what she wants to try to wrap it around, you know, him. But he's not telling you anything different, and he's really not showing you anything different. So I think she has to kind of, you know, buckle up and say, hey, look, I might like you, but if what you can give me doesn't match, then I have to remove myself. Forget about you telling me what you want. And I think that's what Zadia keeps saying, is like, I want him to say it. I want him to say it. No, you should say it. You should say it for you, because every time he tells her, he gives her the zinger of like, hey, I don't think I can really do it. Again, you could see the deflation. You could see the hurt. You could see the way she feels let down. You should want more for you to just cut him loose. Don't give him another chance to show you something different, because there's nothing, you know, he's not gonna move from his point. He's not moving to DC. He's not moving to Atlanta. He really doesn't want anything serious. He's very focused on his career right now. Don't pivot yourself around that, right? If a man wants you to pivot yourself, he will say it. You heard Maurice in the other example, when Charisse is kind of like, you know, unraveling a little bit. He was like, we're going to figure this out together. I got you. Don't worry. I've never seen Cam reassure Zadia in that same way. He doesn't, because he tells her, hey, I can't do it. This is where I'm at. What you're getting is about all. And he even said in one instance, I feel like I'm doing more than technically what I want to be doing. He told her that, right? So I don't know, bro.
It's like, yeah. I mean, I don't know who Rach is. Rach has entered this block and some craziness. But anyway, yeah, no, I think this, you know, the situation with Zadia and Cam, you know, I think, you know, I think he just wants the sex. I mean, I'm going on. I mean, he's staying around. I think he just wants the sex. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that she's not she's not anything more than sex. She's more than that. But the problem is, he's sticking around. He's not, because he keeps saying, I don't have the time, whilst at the same time entertaining her. He has the time. He has the time to entertain the foolishness. Okay? He has the time to entertain the body. Okay? He has the time to lay it down. Okay? So clearly he's got that in his mind. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at that. I'm just saying that that's the reality of the situation. And I wish that obviously Zadia would either accept it or be like, you know what, I do got to move on. You know what I mean? So let's see what happens next week, because next week obviously that's a reunion. Reunion, and they should be saying whether they're going to stay with him or not. But, you know, I want to be real with you. I'll be real with you. I just don't feel like he really... I think, like I said, I always got the impression that there was always an issue with Zadia when it came to Cam. And I don't think he's ever really told her the truth. So, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I don't know why she won't go to shades on.
She's not poking my eye out, bro. I don't know anything about that. Yeah, it's something that has them connected, though.
Yeah, for sure.
They got a connection. But all jokes aside, I think that yeah, and I think sometimes that's if it's that definitely muddies the waters, and it's gonna mess up your clarity. Your vision, you know, is gonna be foggy. Just like me sitting in my house at nighttime with sunglasses on, I'm not gonna see clear. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't see clear. And especially you like the person, and then there's intimacy of some level involved. You're in a new space. Your judgment is clear. It's not clear. It's cloudy. So, you know, I hope that she has a chance to take a look at this situation, and, you know, just be like, hey, look, I could do some things better. You know, like, as much as we can, we could say Cam could have been more playing with her. He could have cut off the supply of whatever intimacy they were having, whether it was physical or just the amount of time they were spending together. He
Around
could have,
town.
he could have definitely just been like, hey, listen, I see where this is going, and I know that you want more, but I don't think I have it to give you. He definitely could have done that.
No, I hear that still. Can't even lie to you.
He definitely could have. And I just, man, it just disheartens me a little bit when we look at these shows, and then sometimes people are like, oh, this is the dating scene. And yeah, there's definitely challenges in the dating scene. Being a fairly newly single person, I can see it. So it sucks. But I gotta take accountability, because I think when we start pointing that finger outward, that's too easy. It's too easy to say all my exes were, all fill in the
This,
blanks
that.
are, that's just gonna inform your decisions and everything from there. And then I think if we, like, if you don't mind, like, just, I think this also goes into the conflict that Charisse and Zadia had, right? And we saw it in this episode. And since we're talking about Zadia, we'll start with her. I'm not saying Charisse was right in the argument, because she wasn't. I think she went too far, and too hard, and just like unloaded a clip out of, but I don't like how Zadia tried to pretend like it was out of nowhere. Oh, like she just attacked me and she's bullying me. Now, Zadia, as Sydney says, come on, girl. We know ain't nobody bullying you. Charisse is reckless with her mouth. We know that she has an explosive temper and a mouth, but your level of petty is unmatched. And again, we gotta begin at the beginning. Because what good was going to come out of you? It wasn't a behind the scenes conversation. Those cameras were there, and you guys have had some behind the scenes conversations, right? So what good did you think was going to come out of you seeing those cameras roll and you talking to Charisse about her kissing LJ in the mouth, when you see that her relationship is now building with Maurice? Is she gonna, you're gonna literally sit here and tell me in your heart of hearts, oh, I was just having polite conversation with her? No, you were stoking the flames. You were fanning the flames. You just don't like how she reacted. And correct, she went way too far. But what did you do? And this is my thing. It's like, what did you do? Who you think did Charisse just look at you and start calling you the B word and F this and this and that, and you ain't nothing? Did she just open up like that on you? Come on now. Were you telling her, oh, you have a pretty dress, and she cursed you out? You were giving her compliments and she cursed you out? Yeah, I don't like that. And then she's gonna try to position it to Tamika that, she's the victim and this, that, and the third. And I'm glad Tamika didn't take the bait. And then you're going to try, this is another thing I just don't like in arguments or disagreements. You're going to try to pull in, and then you have everybody against one person. Nah, I'm good on that. I wouldn't even engage in that kind of conversation. So I'm glad Charisse, she kind of went in and then went back out. But for me, you want to tell me, if you want to tell me something you think I did wrong, share what you got to say, share your thoughts, see if we can have a conversation. But you want to try to enlist everybody else and then have everybody gang up on me? Like, what are we going to get out of that? Again, poor conflict resolution.
I mean, I can't disagree with that, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're right. I think both of them stoked the fire. Zadia knew what she's saying. It's just unfortunate that her enemy had a bigger gun. You know what I mean? Definitely wasn't bullying. I know that first argument was a bit mad, but the second part of it, you played a huge role in it. You can't pretend as if you didn't play a huge role in it. The first one, I can understand the door situation. A bit mad. I get it. And Charisse was coming at you for that. I get that part, right? Second part, though, yeah, saying that she kissed someone in the mouth. Yeah, I mean, you didn't have to say that to prove the point, right? But if you do say it, you have to be ready that it may come back on you. You know what I mean? I think that's as simple. I don't think it's difficult to think that. You got to think about it. It's going to come back on you. And I think when Zadia starts to play that role, like, oh, woe is me. I think she kind of did that on DC a little bit as well when it came to the situation when she was in fights and stuff. It's like, woe is me. And I'm like, baby, you can't keep doing woe is me. You got to be accountable. You played a role in it, in the second part of it, and you need to be accountable for it. And that's all. Nothing heavy, nothing big, nothing long. And I think you do better when you're in that space where you're able to say, you know what, I did contribute towards the situation, but I still feel hurt about what was said. I felt like, maybe what was said was a bit extra. Then maybe we can see your point of view, but when you pretend as if you don't know what happened as to how we got here, yeah, it's just then we're looking at you going, where's your accountability? Because you know how we got here, okay? Yeah, you know how you got here. So, yeah, her trying to be. I think was it on the. I don't know if it was on that where she was like, how can you talk about comparing the two? And I'm like, it's not about comparing the two. It's about the fact that you had a secret, she had a secret, and you said you exposed her secret, she exposed yours. It's just the fact that your secret was bigger. So
Yeah, and then when she tried to start saying, "Oh, well, I never told her that." She didn't say you told her that. She said she heard you talking. You get what I'm saying? So now you're just like she said. Don was making excuses by talking about Ashley's volume. You're doing the same. You're making excuses. You're deflecting from what she's saying, and then trying to pretend like you didn't do something, and then calling yourself, you're saying you're being bullied. No, I'm sorry. A bully is somebody who just goes after somebody unprovoked and is out, uses something they have that's as an advantage, and the other person is disadvantaged. I see her and Charisse as very similar. And I said this before. I think Charisse, just because of her experiences, she sees Zadia as a bully. Maybe she is, maybe she's not. I don't know. But she sees her as one, and then she wants to go after her. But then she'll dial it back. But the minute she feels like Zadia is poking her, she's going. So, Zadia has to understand it's not like this woman is just going off on you without a reason. And again, I'm not saying Charisse is right in the way that she goes about things. I don't think that the way she just unloaded on her and the way she calls her names constantly, I think that that's wrong. I want to be clear about that. I'm not condoning that. I think it's really wrong the way she talks. She's just very verbally abusive. So I will definitely, give Zadia that. To be talked to like that is not good. But you have to, you do have to take accountability. Hey, listen, what did I do? And I think some people want to do that. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to call her a gaslighter, but when somebody is like, well, I'm just calm. I didn't say much. And then you just watch the person unravel, right? You just watch them escalate and escalate and escalate. And then you sit in the corner and you're like, what did I say? All I was talking about was you gave LJ a kiss, right? We're talking about friends. You're talking about friends, and you're talking about Don's friend, right? And you don't like, friends that are the same sex. Well, maybe you don't like it because of your own situation with your friend. Come on. Come on. Yeah.
I hear you. I have no more points to say about these two, if I'm honest with you, because like I said, I feel like I've been saying it every week, and it feels like I'm repeating myself, so I won't say anything else in regards to that situation. But yeah, Zadia, just sis, hear me out. Leave that boy Cam alone, okay? Leave that boy alone. He does not need you, and you do not need him. Leave that boy alone. Sean, give us the wrap up of your thought process to this situation. Well, I say thought process, but give us your daily bread here and your conclusions and your.
So look, I think your thumbnail and title sums it up so well, right? Nobody's moving. So I think the message here is don't be an immovable force in your relationships. if you want your relationships to work, you have to have a level of flexibility. It doesn't mean compromise yourself, but flexibility, right? Explain your boundaries, give context, right? And I think that's so important. And ultimately, I think, listen, this song is going to carry us through into 2024. If you don't want me, then don't talk to me, right? If you don't want the person, let them go, set them free. That could be said for Vern and Toari. That could be said for Cam and Zadia. Please, if you don't want them, then don't talk to them. Let them free, because I think sometimes we selfishly hold on to people for our own reasons, knowing that deep down inside, we don't want them. If you don't want somebody, don't hold them hostage, right? But also, on the other end, read the room, see the signs, see how someone treats you, and if it's worthy of you going along for the ride. And sometimes you just need to set yourself free as well. Back to you, Coach.
Thank you very much, Sean. Listen, it's crazy. Listen, I said, yeah, they're saying the same thing I said, Sean, so let us know. But listen, it's... someone says, Zadia, please don't block Coach. But listen, look, I think these situations happen, man. And you know what? This show, I think this season has been a different highlight to Ready to Love. I actually kind of liked it. I just wished this wasn't the case in terms of like the move situation. I just don't think it's viable. But the concept is good again once more. So I pray they continue. I just want them to change the way they see things. So yes, I did get in contact with Cam, and he said when it blows over, then I guess when the season's over, then we can lock that in as well. So we'll get that going as well, because I'd love to interview him and see what his thought process is as well. But make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button. We appreciate you guys. It was a short one today, but it was impactful. So thank you so much guys for coming through. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like the live on the way out. Don't leave us hanging. The subscribership has gone up considerably in the last few days. We've had over like 300 subs in the last few days. So shout out to you guys who are doing the great work in subbing. You can join our membership as well as the pounds or dollar. We'd love for you guys to be around, and we appreciate you guys as well. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We'll see you soon. Much love.